Alright, let's go ahead and jump right in. I'm gonna stick with Monkey. I kinda like Monkey. See if I can get to level 3 on the forest.
The sun hung low in the sky as Aiden, lieutenant in the United States Navy SEALs Special Response Unit, stood tall and proud in his Navy SEALs dress uniform, his olive-colored skin shining brightly in the sun, and his short jet-black hair glistening in the sun, surrounded by his fellow comrades. The captain in charge stepped forward, his eyes a mix of admiration and respect for the man before him. "Today we gather to bid farewell to one of the greatest soldiers this unit has ever seen," the captain announced, his voice resonating with pride. "Lieutenant Aiden, the Grey Ghost of Bermuda, and the Big Boss. Your courage, dedication, and unwavering commitment to the mission have etched your name into the annals of history. Your missions in the treacherous jungles of Bolivia, the unforgiving deserts of Afghanistan, and the clandestine infiltration of Mongolia during Operation Shrouded Moon will be remembered for generations to come as events that would cement the unification and peace talks between demi-humans and humans." Aiden's stoic demeanor softened as he received the accolades, humbled by the praise from his commanding officer and comrades. The captain continued, "You've set a standard for excellence, leadership, and bravery that all recruits should strive to emulate. Your legacy will serve as a guiding light for the future of this unit." Amidst the cheers and applause, the captain approached Aiden and shook his hand firmly. "Lieutenant Aiden, it has been an honor and privilege to serve with you. You leave behind a void that will be hard to fill, but we have no doubt that your next journey will be as remarkable as your time with us." Aiden saluted with his silver prosthetic arm, a reminder of what he had lost during his time of service, and shouted, "It's been an honor, sir!" With the formalities concluded, Aiden bid farewell to his fellow Navy SEALs. As he made his way towards the base exit, a familiar figure emerged from the crowd. It was Jenkins, the sturdy Minotaur who had fought by Aiden's side on countless missions. "Hey, boss," Jenkins called out, his deep voice carrying across the base. "What's the plan now? Gonna take a well-deserved break?" Aiden grinned, turning to face his friend. "Well, Jenkins, I've heard my brother Kimihito is living alone in our parents' house in Japan. I think it's high time I pay him a visit, and maybe spend some quality time together." Jenkins chuckled heartily, clapping Aiden on the back. "Sounds like a great plan, boss. You deserve all the best and happiness in the world." "Thanks, Jenkins," Aiden replied sincerely. "And take good care of the squad. You're the best person to lead them now."
Be named Jenkins.
With a final nod to his squad mate, Aiden stepped into the waiting military Hummer that would take him to the airport. As he looked back at the base, he couldn't help but feel a mixture of nostalgia and excitement for the future that awaited him. As soon as the Hummer got to the airport, the driver said, "Hey, once you make it to Japan, you should be meeting with Agent Smith. Good luck, big boss. It's been an honor." Aiden smiled and said, "You guys take care as well," before leaving to embark on his journey back to Japan. As Aiden stepped off the plane in Japan, he was immediately taken aback by the change in weather. The humidity hit him like a wall, making him feel like he had just walked into a steam bath. Being used to the dry climate of Texas, this new environment was a stark contrast. He wiped his forehead and took a moment to adjust before continuing through the airport. As he made his way through the exit, he noticed the lack of demi-humans around. Back in America, it was common to encounter them, but here in Japan they seemed to be a rarity. The thought intrigued him, wondering how the culture and society here differed from what he was accustomed to. Just as he was lost in thought, a familiar voice called out, "Aiden, over here!" Turning, he saw Agent Smith standing with her Mon Squad. He smiled, glad to see a familiar face among the crowd. "Aiden, it's good to have you here," Aiden Smith said warmly, stepping forward to greet him. "Thanks, Smith. It's been a while," Aiden replied, shaking her hand. Smith then introduced him to the other members of the Mon Squad. Tionisha the Ogre, Monaco the Mono-Eye, Doppel the Doppelganger, and Zombina the Living Corpse, who had a skeptical look on her face as she eyed Aiden up and down. "I'm not so sure about this guy," Zombina commented, crossing her arms. "He doesn't exactly look like a soldier. Are you sure this is the same Aiden you said stormed Mongolia?" Agent Smith chuckled lightly, coming to Aiden's defense. "Looks can be deceiving, Zombina. You should know better than anyone that appearances can be misleading." Zombina raised an eyebrow, unconvinced. "I get that, but still..." Agent Smith stepped closer to Aiden, placing a reassuring hand on his shoulder. "Let me tell you something about Aiden. The Navy SEALs had a special group within their ranks who were one of the 27 groups worldwide with clearance to deal with demi-humans without violating the interspecies exchange bill however they saw fit. Aiden here was hand-selected for said group." She looked around at her squad, emphasizing her point. "That means he's been through some serious stuff, and he's come out on top every time. Been enough blood and black ink on his service records to drown the world 100 times over. Don't underestimate him." Aiden felt a mixture of pride and gratitude at Smith's words. He knew she had recommended him to the American Navy, setting him on the path that led him to becoming a Navy SEAL. Her support and encouragement had been instrumental in his career. Zombina seemed to reconsider, looking at Aiden with newfound respect.
All right, if you say so, Smith. I'll give him a chance.
Good, Agent Smith replied, nodding. Aiden has a lot to offer, and I believe he could be a valuable addition to the team. Aiden smiled, grateful for the opportunity, and eager to see what this new chapter in Japan would bring. You may be singing my praise, Agent Smith, but I have a feeling there's a reason you wanted to greet me personally at the gate, Aiden chuckled. I'd like to offer you a position in my Mon squad, Smith said, her gaze serious. We deal with demi-human-related incidents, and your skills would be a valuable asset. I appreciate the offer, Smith, Aiden said, genuinely considering it, but I also want to spend some time with my brother. I haven't seen him in years. Smith nodded understandingly. Of course, family comes first, but keep the offer in mind, before handing him a manila folder and saying, I'm sure your skills would be beneficial not just in the Navy SEALs, but also in the context of Japan's unique situation with demi-humans. I will, Aiden assured her, and thank you for everything you did for me back then. It meant a lot. It was well-deserved, Aiden. You made us proud, Smith said, her tone sincere. Now go spend time with your brother. We can catch up later. Aiden smiled warmly at Agent Smith, feeling grateful for the opportunities she had helped create for him before bowing and leaving on his way home. As Aiden approached his old childhood house, he couldn't help but notice how much bigger it seemed compared to his memories. He felt a mix of nostalgia and curiosity as he used his house keys to unlock the front door. As he stepped inside, he was taken aback to see a Lamia walking by in the living room. His Navy SEAL training kicked in instantly, and he switched into alert mode, assuming she was an intruder. Reacting quickly, Aiden sprang into action, grappling the Lamia to the ground, demanding to know what she was doing in his brother's house. Who are you? What are you doing here? He questioned, his voice stern and commanding. Mia was startled and terrified, struggling to free herself from his firm hold. Darling, help me, she cried out, hoping someone would come to her rescue. Hearing the commotion, Kimihito rushed out into the living room. Shocked to see his brother pinning down his Lamia guest, he quickly stepped in to defuse the situation. Aiden, hold on! It's not what you think! Aiden's eyes met his brother's, and he slowly eased his grip on the Lamia, confused, but recognizing the voice. Kimihito? Is that really you, brother? Yes, it's me, Kimihito replied, relieved that his brother had returned home. This is Mia. She's not a trespasser. She's here on a foreign exchange program. Aiden's Navy SEAL's instincts began to recede as he processed his brother's words. He got off Mia, taking a step back, still a bit flustered from the misunderstanding. Foreign exchange program? For demi-humans? Kimihito nodded, walking over to Mia to help her up. Yes, exactly. Mia's living with me as part of a cultural exchange program. She's a friend, not a threat. Aiden let out a breath he didn't realize he was holding, feeling somewhat embarrassed by his earlier reaction. I'm sorry, Mia, I should have known better. It's just been a while since I've been home, and things have changed. Mia, although shaken, managed to smile understandingly. It's all right, darling's brother. I understand. Please just be more careful next time. Aiden nodded earnestly. I will, I promise, and I apologize to you too, Kimihito. I didn't mean to cause any trouble. Kimihito waved off his apology with a grin. No worries, Aiden. It's good to see you again, bro. Welcome home. Dinner's almost done, and come on in and relax. The others should be coming in soon. Aiden nodded and followed Kimihito into the dining room and felt a mix of excitement and curiosity. He was about to meet the other girls living with his brother Kimihito, the girls he had heard so much about. Kimihito stood up and motioned for Aiden to take his seat. Everyone, this is my brother Aiden. He's just back from the United States. The first girl Kimihito introduced was Mia, the Lamia. She slithered over to Aiden and extended her hand, her eyes sparkling with curiosity. Nice to meet you, Aiden. Kimihito talks about you a lot. Aiden shook her hand with a smile. It's great to meet you too, Mia. Next was Poppy, the harpy, who fluttered over and perched on the back of a chair. Hi there, I'm Poppy. Nice to meet ya. Aiden couldn't help but chuckle at Poppy's adorable greeting. Hi, Poppy. You have some impressive wings there. Sue the slime extended a gooey hand and giggled. Hello, Aiden. I'm Sue. Kimihito has told me a lot about you. Aiden shook Sue's hand cautiously, as it was a slime who took his left arm, and said, It's good to meet you too, kid. Next came Centaurea, the centaur, who approached gracefully. Greetings, Aiden. It's a pleasure to make your acquaintance. Aiden stood up, slightly taken aback by Centaurea's regal demeanor. The pleasure's all mine, Centaurea. It's impressive to see a centaur up close. As Kimihito introduced each girl, Aiden learned more about them, their unique traits, and their quirky personalities. Rocknera the Arachne shyly waved from a distance, and Aiden gave her a friendly nod in return. Finally, Kimihito turned to the last girl at the table, a stunning mermaid named Meruine Lorelei. As she caught sight of Aiden, a glimmer of recognition shone in her eyes, and a smile tugged at her lips. "It's been a while, my gray ghost," Merune said in a melodic voice, surprising Aiden.
Wait. The mermaid knows the gray ghost?
Yep.
And why is he so surprised by all of these demi-humans? He was, like, instrumental in cementing the peace between humans and demi-humans, right?
Bro, I don't know. This is just how the story goes.
Okay, whatever. Do we need to even know how the mermaid is sitting at the table?
No, we don't need to know that.
All right, fair enough.
Super. Can I keep reading, please?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Aiden's eyebrows furrowed in confusion. "How do you know?" Kimihito looked confused and said, "Gray ghost?" Marine's smile widened, and she glanced at Aiden.
Oh, it's been ages if I remember correctly. I was 17 at the time, and you saved me from those pirates off the coast of India.
Aiden's expression softened as the memory resurfaced. "Oh, yeah, it was a dangerous mission, but I'm glad I was able to help." The other girls looked at Aiden with newfound admiration, intrigued by the story behind the Grey Ghost nickname. They each took turns sharing a brief interaction with Aiden, expressing their gratitude or curiosity. A Dullahan with pale white hair, dressed in armor, then walked into the room and looked at Aiden uneasy by him and said, "Dear master, this one reeks of death. Who is he?"
Kimihito smiled and said, "Oh, Lala, this is my brother Aiden. He was part of a covert Navy SEALs team, so you're probably smelling the death from those days."
Aiden looked at Lala and said, "So a Dullahan lives here too. Curious, does that mean someone is about to die?" She pointed to Kimihito and said, "Originally I assumed it would be him, as he has this harem of crazed women. However, Death has been going after you for years with no one to claim your soul. Even the Grim Reaper fears you. Could it be you who is bound to die, Aiden the Grey Ghost?" Aiden snickered and said, "Death can try to claim me all at once, but I will not go quietly into the night if I am to die. I will die on my terms and my terms only." Ragnara blushed and said, "Oh my, what a bold man. I think I might be falling for him," before giving a glance at Kimihito as if to say, "What are you gonna do about it?" Aiden chuckled, giving his brother a teasing glance. "Looks like you're slacking, bro. All these beautiful girls and you haven't made a move?" Kimihito blushed, flustered by the comment. Well, I'm just trying to take things one step at a time." During dinner, the room was filled with laughter and joy as the group enjoyed each other's company. Aiden felt a strong bond forming with Kimihito's harem, and he was starting to appreciate the unique personality of each girl.
Full-on
Suddenly, Poppy, the ever-cheerful harpy, asked a question that caught everyone by surprise.
"So how did you lose your arm, Aiden?"
She chirped innocently while pointing at Aiden's left prosthetic arm, her
Been wondering that
curiosity
too.
getting the better of her. The other girls looked at Poppy with a shocked expression, while Aiden started laughing. Poppy tilted her head, a little confused by their reaction.
Huh? Did I say something wrong?
"No, not at all," Aiden assured her, his laughter subsiding. "It's just that it's not a common topic of conversation, especially during a meal. But it's okay, I don't mind talking about it." Curiosity piqued, the other girls leaned in, genuinely interested to hear his story. "It happened during a mission," Aiden began, his tone turning more serious. "I was on a mission in a remote area, tracking down a dangerous variant of slime known as a black pudding. These slimes are highly corrosive and their poison can be deadly. With this one in particular had grown a sentient mind and it had become an assassin operating in France, so U.S. Navy SEALs were sent in to take it down." As Aiden narrated, the girls listened intently, their expressions reflecting a mix of concern and intrigue. "I got too close to it and it managed to bite me," Aiden continued. "I knew I had to act fast. The poison was spreading rapidly through my arm, and I had to make a quick decision." He paused for a moment, his gaze drifting to where his left arm should have been. "I took out my combat knife and made a split-second choice to cut off my arm above the bite mark. It was a tough call, but it saved my life." Aiden noticed Sue's reaction and immediately realized how his answer might affect her. He reached out and gently placed a hand on her slimy shoulder. "Hey, it's okay, Sue. Don't be upset. It's not your fault." Sue looked at him with her big, expressive eyes, her voice trembling slightly.
"But it was a slime that hurt you. I'm a slime too, so you must hate me, right?"
Aiden's heart sank at Sue's words. He didn't want her to blame herself for something that wasn't her fault.
Sue, listen to me, he said softly. You are not to blame for what happened. The black pudding slime that bit me was a dangerous variant, and its actions were not a reflection of all slimes. He smiled reassuringly at her. I don't hold any grudges against you or your kind. Sue's eyes glistened with tears of relief and gratitude. Really? Really, Aiden confirmed, giving her shoulder a gentle squeeze. The others looked on, touched by Aiden's words and his genuine care for Sue. Mia smiled at her fellow housemate, proud of him for comforting Sue in such a compassionate way. As the tension dissipated, the dinner continued with a renewed sense of camaraderie. Aiden chatted with the girls, learning more about their personalities and interests. Poppy's initial question, though surprising, had allowed them all to deepen their understanding of one another. Throughout the night, Sue stuck close to Aiden, grateful for his acceptance and kindness. Once dinner was done and the girls left to go and get ready for bed, Aiden stayed in the living room with his brother to chat. Kimihito chuckled and said, So, bro, I assume you're done with military service? Before getting up to make them both some coffee. Aiden nodded and said, Yeah, I was honorably discharged yesterday. Chuckling, Kimihito said, So I guess that means you're moving back in, which explains why Agent Smith renovated the entire house again. Aiden raised his eye and said, Again? Kimihito nodded and said, When Mia arrived, they made the house a lot larger to accommodate her size, and then they did it again to accommodate Miro, and then they came by this morning and renovated it again for an additional 10 rooms. However, according to Smith, that was an error on her part, as it was only supposed to be one extra room. Aiden laughed and said, That explains why the house looks so big. But yeah, I'm moving back in, but I do have a job lined up so I can start paying rent. Kimihito waved his hand and said, No, you're my brother. There's no need for you to be paying rent. Aiden looked at Kimihito and said, Brother, Mom and Dad left you the house, making you the sole owner. However, I'm your older brother, so respect my wishes and let me pay you $350 monthly for rent. Kimihito smiled and said, Guess I can't talk you out of it. Anyways, what is the job anyways? Aiden then pulled out the paperwork Smith handed him at the airport and said, Agent Smith has hired me to be a special operative working for the Mon Neutralization Squad. As an ex-Navy SEAL, I still have my name etched in the records as someone with clearance to harm demi-humans, so I would be perfect for the job. Kimihito smirked and said, Well, I wish you the best of luck, brother. I'll be turning in for the night, and you should too. Aiden looked outside to see it was the dead of night and said, You have a point, brother. I'll see you in the morning, before heading off to his new room at the very top of the house, which he had claimed as him. It may have been a barren room, but it was like a second master bedroom with a beautiful balcony overlooking the street. At one point, this area was filled with smaller houses, but as relations with demi-humans started to flourish, the houses and yards had to get bigger to accommodate them all, causing this one small neighborhood to adopt the old American idea of having private land and a house. Aiden chuckled and said, It's good to be home, before going into his suitcase and pulling out a laptop and a sleeping bag to order some furniture off Wamazon for his new room. The next morning, Aiden woke up groggy and in pain. Sleeping on the cold, hard floor in a sleeping bag is not something he liked, even though he did it hundreds of times while serving as a Navy SEAL. Stumbling into the kitchen, still rubbing sleep from his eyes, he had one thing on his mind: coffee! He needed that caffeine boost to wake him up properly, and as he reached for the coffee pot, he froze in surprise. There, sitting inside the coffee pot, was Sue. Her translucent blue form blended perfectly with the water, making her almost invisible. Aiden couldn't help but let out a startled yelp, which only made Sue giggle mischievously. Good morning, Aiden, Sue said cheerfully, her voice emanating from the water-filled coffee pot. Aiden blinked a few times, trying to process what he was seeing. Sue, what are you doing in there? I was just enjoying a nice drink of water, Sue replied, suddenly shooting out of the coffee pot and landing right in front of Aiden, taking on her human, voluptuous form. Aiden chuckled, shaking his head. You scared me for a moment there. I thought the coffee pot had come alive or something. Sue grinned. Sorry about that, Aiden. I couldn't resist having a little fun. Aiden couldn't help but smile at Sue's playful nature. She was unlike anyone he had ever met, and her ability to morph and hide in plain sight never ceased to amaze him. Well, just be careful not to scare me too much next time, Aiden teased, pouring some water into the coffee pot to refill it. I need my coffee to wake up properly in the mornings, and I don't want to accidentally switch into combat mode like I did with Mia. Sue pouted playfully.
Man,
but water is so much better.
keep going.
Aiden chuckled, understanding her enthusiasm for water. That may be true, but coffee is my thing, my elixir of life. As he brewed a pot of Hawaiian hazelnut coffee, the rest of the household started to wake up, and soon the kitchen was filled with the chatter of the other girls. First, Ragnara walked in and said, Aiden, you're up awful early. Have any big plans for the day? Aiden pulled out his phone and realized a bunch of packages were on the way for him and said, Yeah, got some stuff coming in today for my room. Other than that, I got nothing. Ragnara giggled and said, Well, I hope you have fun. Maybe I'll come by and give you a hand with the things, before blowing Aiden a kiss and setting down to watch some news. Aiden sat down at the table with his cup of coffee, feeling more awake now thanks to the caffeine. Sue joined him at the table. Can I try some of your coffee, Aiden? Aiden smiled and offered her a sip, making sure it was cooled down enough for her. Sue eagerly slurped it up, her face lighting up with delight. This is interesting, Sue exclaimed, enjoying the new flavor. And that's when the caffeine hit her and hit her like a damn school bus. Sue started to rush around happily, laughing and full of energy like a child before grabbing Poppy and shouting, Let's go have some fun in the yard! This made Aiden laugh as he watched the two energetic kids rush out. Someone seems to be in a good mood, Kimihito chuckled, nervous. Walking in. I have to hand it to you, brother. You have some interesting people living here, but they seem like good people, and I respect that. Kimihito looked at Ragnara, who was tying up Lala in BDSM knots, and said, They can be a handful, but I would be lost without them. Soon, though, the doorbell rang. Kimihito excused himself to answer the door. To his surprise, Agent Smith from Mond stood at the door, accompanied by a large Oni with mesmerizing violet eyes, voluminous deep crimson hair, and a curvaceous, well-endowed figure. Hello, Kimihito. I hope I'm not interrupting anything important, Agent Smith said, with a professional smile. Kimihito shook his head. No, not at all. Please come in. Agent Smith entered the living room, and the Oni followed closely behind. I have some news, Agent Smith continued. Kiyomi here needs a host family, and I've assigned her to stay with Aiden. Aiden's eyes widened in astonishment, not expecting to be assigned as a host family for a demi-human. He looked at Kiyomi, who seemed both shy and excited at the prospect. Me? Aiden asked, pointing to himself. But I'm just visiting my brother here. Aiden Smith smiled knowingly. You're still part of the family, Aiden, and with your experience in dealing with demi-humans during your service, I believe you'll make an excellent host for Kiyomi. Kiyomi approached Aiden with a blush on her cheeks. Thank you so much, Aiden-san, she said, hugging him warmly. It may have seemed like a warm hug, but in all honesty, she was practically smothering Aiden between her fat tits. Stuttering a bit, Aiden said, I'm honored to be called your master, but would you kindly let go of me before you smother me to death? Kiyomi blushed and stuttered, saying, Oh, right, sorry about that, before letting him go, allowing Aiden to breathe. Kiyomi took a deep breath, attempting to change the topic. So what's there to do around here? I'm up for anything. At that moment, Lala had walked in and noticed Kiyomi's luggage and said, Do I see a video game power cord sticking out of your suitcase? Kiyomi nodded and opened her luggage to reveal that she didn't have any clothes or anything packed. All she had was video game consoles and games galore. They told me to pack important things, so I chose my video game collection. Soon, Kiyomi had found herself an empty room to set up a sleeping bag and her consoles onto a small portable TV, and Aiden decided to go out with Kimihito to go and get some furniture for her room, but also ended up getting a huge bed with the softest mattress ever, along with some TVs, monitors, and even a whole desktop setup just for Aiden's room, as he still wanted to be connected to his buddies in the field. Rushing back home with all these good, Aiden and Kimihito made sure that Kiyomi was distracted so they could set up her room. Aiden took the initiative, using the file Smith had given him all about Kiyomi's personality and such, and made a room fit for an Oni gamer with a big PC setup, a plasma screen TV, plenty of beanbag chairs and stuff, and even a mini fridge for all those late-night gaming sessions. Kimihito looked at Aiden and said, How are we paying for all this? Aiden pulled out an American Express Platinum card, not sponsored, and said, Been a member here for 6 years now, bro. I'll pay for everything. Kimihito got on his knees and bowed down to Aiden and said, Thank God. This made Aiden chuckle, but the two of them soon went down to a site that gave the men a nosebleed. Sue had spread out Kiyomi. Nope, not reading that.
Oh, whoa. Why? What's going on?
I don't think I can read it.
Why won't you read it?
It's a sex scene, bro.
For real?
Yeah, I don't want to read this, man.
Well, I don't blame you, but...
Yeah, but...
Can you at least explain? Like give a rundown?
Yeah, Sue has Kiyomi restrained and is, doing stuff to her.
Oh, okay.
Non-consensually.
Yeah, no, we don't need that.
Yeah.
We don't need that at all.
No, we don't.
Okay. No, continue.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm sure. Continue.
All right.
Is there much left?
No, we're almost done.
Okay, no, we'll just move right on.
As soon as they got to Kiyomi's room, her eyes started to sparkle in awe of the room and the stuff Aiden had put inside it to make her feel at home. Soon, Aiden and Kiyomi were sitting down in some beanbag chairs talking about games and such, unaware they were being watched. As they chatted about games and hobbies, Sue couldn't help but feel a little left out. She looked at Kiyomi with sad, gooey eyes, feeling a bit down that she couldn't join in the conversation. Kiyomi noticed Sue's expression and immediately tried to include her. "Hey, Sue, do you like playing games too?" Sue tried to form a thumbs up with her gooey hand. "I do, but I'm not great with electronics." Kiyomi grinned, not one to let anyone feel left out. "No worries, Sue. We can find something fun for you to join in too." Aiden shouted, "I swear to God, if you bring out Dance Dance Revolution, I'm gonna throw a shoe at you."
All right, I guess that'll do it for Chapter 1. We'll do Chapter 2, but we'll have to do that some other time. We are out of time for today. But hey, thank you all so much for tuning in. I appreciate you watching this, and if you enjoyed it, just like, comment, you know how it works. Just signal to the algorithm that this is a channel we're taking a chance on, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye-bye.
Ba-da-ba-da-ba-ba-ba-da, shoo-be-doo-wah, ba-da-ba-da-ba-ba-da-ba.